Hello and welcome to No BS with Dr. Wood, and I'm Dr. Norman Wood. I have received no new information on Judy, the Wetzel County Jane Doe case, and hopefully we'll hear something in the near future. So today I will be discussing what we started last week on No BS with Dr. Wood, and that is the question, where have all the good men gone? You're going to like this. So, cue the music, and I'll be right back. Welcome back to No BS with Dr. Wood. In 1948, George Orwell, a famous author, wrote the futuristic novel 1984. And in that novel, there is a famous quote about women. And Orwell wrote, "It was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy." This meant that young women are the most passionate enforcers of whatever party doctrine that they believe in. These young women represent the hyper-vigilant citizen who delights in catching others thinking, saying, or doing anything that is slightly forbidden in their views. Look at the liberal feminist movement, or any protest today. It is mostly young, liberal, white women. Whether it be for illegal immigrants, against ICE, abortion, trans rights, you name it. It is young, liberal, white women out there making fools of themselves. In essence, they are giving their God-given gifts for nurturing and raising children an outlet. They are acquiring a sense of self-worth since they do not have children of their own to direct those natural instincts towards. This is what the man's world has forced women to do. For the first time in human existence, man now has evidence of what is damaging the civilization that we now live in. For thousands and thousands of years, societies and cultures failed, and those people would in years and decades and centuries to follow try to make sense of what had happened to them and why everything fell apart. They could never really know. Well, today, thanks to modern science, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and others, and with the knowledge of modern neuroscience, the iPhone, with its camera and video capabilities, as well as the social media platforms to place these personal recordings on, this has given us all video evidence in real times of concern people have and the damage created by those issues of concern. If you want to see what damage is being done to our country and culture, or the concerns of normal people, just go on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram and watch people. Watch and study the displayed behaviors and the difficulties that people are having, and you will find definite patterns and similarities in their expressed problems and why they think they are having those problems. And this is especially true for women, who are naturally collaborative and want to find a consensus, validation, or understanding with other women. This is why you see women after women on social media literally crying about their lives, how difficult their lives are and how miserable they are, that nothing is working out for them as they have been taught, promised, planned, and hoped for. And as a physician, I must say, it is sad. And it is telling to watch these women express their problems and sorrows. Now, from men's perspective, in seeing all of this and men's personal experiences with women, it is easy for men to just say women are basically batshit crazy and drop it at that. And many men and some women today openly express that the worst thing man ever did in this country was to allow women to vote. Learned men will say and show solid data that with the 19th Amendment ratified in 1920, the United States began its downward slide to all the problems we face today. And there is some indisputable truth to that history. But to simply write off women as being crazy and irresponsible and accuse women of being the reason for many of this country's problems would be a great disservice to all of us, and especially the women. And those accusations would be cherry-picking a small piece of the puzzle without giving a full account of why men and women act and think the way we do. And we are quite different for many good reasons. And to see why we think and act the way we do, we must get down to the neuroscience and brain structures of men and women. And this was all designed by God. And for thousands and thousands of years, we have never changed. And I can't express that strongly enough. Our DNA today is 99.9% exactly as it was 3 million years ago with the Paleolithic man. And the only changes, that 0.1, was for high altitude breathing and being able to digest more carbohydrates, more starchy foods. And we can say with certainty that the intelligence of mankind has not changed at all in the past 10,000 years. IQ scores have gone up, but only because of our modern educational system. But the inherent intelligence of men and women has not changed for thousands of years. If you take somebody 10,000 years ago and put them in today's world, they would be able to solve the same problems that you and I can do. And to fully understand why we are the way we are, we must not only look at what we do, but why we act a certain way. Why do we think a certain way? Because there are very good, legitimate, and scientific reasons and answers to those questions. But you have to be willing to dig deep for those answers and not be afraid of what you might find. And when I started this in-depth investigation to the question, where have all the good men gone, I came to a startling conclusion. And that is, there is no way I could adequately convey the massive amount of information, scientific and other, to an audience by speaking about that massive volume of information. That would be a college course over several weeks. So in that regard, I have decided to write another book. This will be my 6th. And instead of having multiple podcasts on this subject that wouldn't be as effective, I will write this vital and much needed book. And much of this information will need to be read and reread and studied to be fully understood. And you can then research it yourself to see what I will write is absolutely the truth. For some men and women, this will be hard to swallow, but it will be factual. I will get down so deep into this that you will come away with a much better understanding of why you do what you do, whether you are a man or a woman. And this has been a fascinating trip. And with that understanding of both men and women, we will be able to better communicate and have a better coexistence between men and women. And we must be able to do this for our own long-term survival. So let me give you a small slice of why this book must be written, and a small amount of that information. It is an enormous amount of information. Women are being blamed for the downward trajectory of American life. Women's behavior did change with the feminist movement, and we have all seen that. And many of those changes are now being targeted as the cause of our societal problems. To say men's behavior has never changed is also true, but it's what men do that has caused astronomical change. Women do vote 60% liberal Democratic, and they vote for Democratic liberal policies which can be damaging to society. And there is a biological reason why women vote liberal. And many women have decided for decades not to be in the home as much and to have fewer children, which puts all of us in danger. And men have been quick to blame women for these feminist movement changes. And it is true, we are seeing the damage that the feminist ideology has caused. But why did women move in that direction so quickly and so forcefully? And why were the lies of the socialist feminist ideology believed and were so successful? Was this all planned by nefarious people to damage the American family and America? Well, that answer is yes. That answer is well documented, and I will get into all of that in my book. But how could someone pull this off? And why do many women today still support the trans movement and the surgical mutilation of children for that purpose? That makes no sense. And why do women support abortions at the rate they do? This is not health care. This is the mutilation and murder of children. These are all terrible things for society. And if a woman was found doing any of this 100 years ago, she would be put in prison. If she was caught doing any of this 1,000 years ago, she would be stoned to death. And all of this is damaging our society in this modern world. So it would be easy, so easy, to blame women for all of this, that women are completely crazy and irresponsible. It would be easy to say that if you only looked at the surface and not the whole picture. And this is the dig. This is what I have learned and uncovered. And that is, men have caused most of this. It's the truth. Unknowingly, men have caused many of our problems with women by being men. And I can hear women clapping in the background saying, all right, we have reached at least one. Well, it's this way, ladies. Men are the world's creative species. A man created the internal combustion engine that removed all of us from riding horses every single day. A man now catches rockets that fall from outer space. Men hold almost 98% of all U.S. patents. I have 4 awarded U.S. patents and many patent pendings. And my wife at the time when I started designing these things thought I was completely crazy, pathetic, and it was a waste of time working on those life-saving designs. Women don't get it. Men are inventors and created this modern world that women are supposed to be able to adapt to as quickly as men change it. But women were not designed for quick adaptation. They see no value in it. Matter of fact, women's neuroanatomy and biology that evades change has been the same for thousands and thousands of years. Some women do well in this modern world, but that is not the consensus. Most women have worries and significant difficulty, and that expectation for women to keep up with men's creativity is a very unrealistic expectation by men. God designed men this way, to be creative, to be forceful, to forge ahead, hell or high water, to lead. But God also created women a certain way. God created women to be kind, nurturing, compassionate, to slow everything down, so women would be able to concentrate on social activities with other women, families, and children. And women are that way to this day, and women will never change. God never expected women to go out into the world and build skyscrapers or spaceships. God created men to do those physical tasks, to have that creative mind and the physical abilities. Women had more important things to do, to nurture and populate this earth. And to do that nurturing and populating, God gave women amazing abilities that He did not give to men. Women didn't have to worry. They didn't have the time to worry about building a house, to cut logs, or to carry boards and nails. Women had a much more important task to handle. Women were creating life and nurturing that life once it was born. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry could build a house or kill something to eat. Women were creating life, and there is nothing on this planet or in this world more complicated or more intricate than that. And there's nothing more important than that. Nothing. The most advanced supercomputer with AI is not even close to being as complicated and intricate as forming another human being. In the formation of a single fetus, it takes trillions and trillions of cells and hundreds of trillions of cell divisions. And every one of those processes must be exact. That formation of life is nothing short of a miracle. But those abilities come at a cost for women in a modern world, a cost that could never have been foreseen. For thousands and thousands of years, women lived in a world that not only made sense to them, but was kind to them. Only in the last 250 years, when men introduced the Industrial Revolution that launched us into the technological revolution, have women been at odds with this newly created modern world that men created. While men are clapping and celebrating with their beer and high-fiving their ever faster and faster successes, women are appreciative for their new conveniences, while at the same time, the single, divorced, or never married women go to the pharmacies in droves to get a refill on their mental health medications at a rate almost 3 times that of men. The exception to that are married mothers, and that is an important distinction to remember. They don't go to the pharmacies. And men, being men, created a world that many women are having difficulty navigating and keeping up in. Men have created a modern world so fast that in many ways it is at odds with a woman being a woman as God meant her to be. Men have created a world that has become an obstacle course for many women trying to get through each day and to just survive. And women have no idea why this is so. Even as a physician, I've really never looked at this in that way that I have in the past few months. And yes, I have even thought in the past when I was young that some women were crazy as hell. But I believe now I was mistaken. I never really looked, even as a physician, I never really put everything together that affects women. We are not taught that in medical school, not to the depth that is needed for a full understanding of what women are being asked now to do in this modern world. The simple times that women were created for by God are over. Thousands of years have passed, and men are the ones who did away with those thousands of years of simpler times, of simpler life. All of the advancements, all of the new inventions, cars, the internet, the iPhone, computers, AI, have all been created by men. Our own creative genius has and is creating a world that changes so fast that it is not conducive to women. And they are struggling. And these changes are coming so fast now that even men are becoming alarmed. And we're talking about AI. Women do not look at the world the way men do. And they cannot respond to the world the way that men do. Men can leap ahead and adapt. That is how God created us, and we do it with a smile and a laugh. But women were not created for constant change, a constant disturbance, a constant upheaval to their normal lives. Men, on the other hand, thrive on change, on exploring that dangerous, brave new world. Men are all Captain James T. Kirks on the Starship Enterprise. but men's inherent ability to function in unpredictable, rapid, dangerous, and uncontrollable change is devastating to women who are in that circumstance with those men. And all of you women are in those circumstances today. Women were never meant to be in this modern world that men have created so fast in such a short period of time. Women naturally want stability and safety, and they want confidence in men's reassurances that everything will be okay. Men, on the other hand, don't care. We fly by the seat of our pants. We are all cowboys and gunslingers. And just that thought and description alone of men makes women cringe in one way and also admire men in the other. Women admire men who are cowboys, but women do not like the dust, especially this modern dust. When I was younger, I used to get upset with my wife at the time. I always felt she couldn't keep up with what I was wanting to do. I remember describing her to one of my friends as an anchor tied around my neck. Back then, I was on a mission, and hell or high water was not going to prevent me from completing it. I had been asked to do it. I worked for the government then. That manly determination, however so noble and successful, eventually ended our marriage, and it was my fault. But at the time, I blamed it on her for not being able to keep up. That is how driven men are to make change and to forge ahead no matter the obstacle and sometimes no matter the cost. And men are blind to the effect that our ambitions have on women. God created us this way, just as God created women to be nurturing, patient, and kind, and not wanting constant change. Women need reassurances that their world is not going to blow up. And it is natural for men to not even think of giving reassurances because we don't function thinking of what ifs. We plow forward and change strategies as we go once we see that current strategy isn't working. And we can do that in the blink of an eye and not even miss a step. Men have an indifference to anything that is not directly ahead of him. If he is on a mission and we view anyone who is not of that same frame of mind, mainly women, we look at them as a hindrance or an obstacle. And at the same time, men expect women to be able to handle all of the stress, uncertainties, and change that men mostly ignore and cause to begin with. And that is not the way God designed women. Women were not created or designed by God to have to deal with all of the uncertainties that man creates for himself and everyone else. Women's minds were designed for a much simpler world, a world that wasn't shifting constantly and daily into areas of uncertainty and possibly harm. But for men, we love that stuff. But it is extremely stressful for women. And this all started 250 years ago. Men have created rapidly changing, dangerous and stressful modern world that women are uncomfortable with and struggle with and complain about, while men feel women are obstructing when they complain about what they are trying to accomplish and are critical of women complaining about the rapidly changing, dangerous, and stressful world that men himself created. There is a big disconnect between women and men in this modern world. And in this next book that I'm about to write, I will explain why this is and how best to proceed forward. Because, ladies, the good men are still here. They're just busy doing what men do. And many men have disconnected from what they feel is a bunch of complaining, obstructing, liberal feminist women. Those types of women are not wanted by good men. They hold men back. And we are looking at about 60% of the women. And women all talk amongst themselves. They compare notes and they take recommendations from each other. So men pretty much feel it is all women who are not worth our time, or at least the vast majority. And men are on a constant mission, and they won't stop no matter what it is or what it costs. And the men are always looking for that next mission after they complete this one. So what do we do? How do we fix this? Where do we start? Well, we need to start here. Men need to fully understand how women look at this world. Men need to fully understand God's design for women and why women have reacted the way they have over the past 250 years of change that men created, starting with the Industrial Revolution. Because there are definite and good reasons why women respond the way they have to these rapid changes. Even if those responses by women have been damaging to society, there are still divinely designed reasons for those actions. And I'm not making excuses for women. This is the truth, and women deserve this truthfulness. And men need to do a better job of explaining the who, what, when, where, why, and hows to their women. And women need to do a better job in trying to understand and trust that man to lead, and for him to continue being a man and to do that worldly job where women and children can comfortably and safely live. Because a man won't stop. He will never change. God made us this way. And the best thing women can do is to let that man do his job and to follow his lead. And this is why. Because men have done a truly remarkable job over the past several thousand years with innovations. Men's record of achievements is extraordinary, and that is exactly what God intended man to do. God gave only men those creative worldly abilities, not women. And God intended men and women to understand one another enough and to work together for our long-term survival. The problem is, man has gone where no man has gone before, literally. And he has gone there so fast that it has caused problems for all of us, and especially the women. So I write this new book not only to explain to women why they feel and act the way they do in this modern world that men keep changing, but also to explain to men how a lot of the disappointments we see today in women were actually created by us men. And if we are to endure as a society, we must understand each other fully, and we must embrace those God-given differences. And this is the first time in human existence that we are now able to do that and to understand that. It has never happened before. If you want to know what the title of the new book will be, well, I'm going to call it Why Women Are Wonderful. And no, it's not tongue-in-cheek. It's a serious title. And I will let everyone know when it's ready to be published. So this is a very big issue. This is an extraordinary complex issue. And I'm amazed by it. It is absolutely fascinating. So anyways, thank you for watching. And until next time, this is Dr. Norman Wood signing off. God bless all of you. God bless West Virginia. And God bless America.